When you create a new matter in EstateAssist, you can begin from your dashboard just by going here and clicking the New Matter button. And it's going to be a place where you can put in the name of the new case, the attorney of record. You can select the matter type, though right now that's just probate estate administration. And then you can select different options for who will have permissions. The attorney of record always has permissions on cases, and the person who created the case will start out permissions on the case. But you can add other people in your staff if you'd like them to also be able to. Once a case is created, you'll have it out on your dashboard and you can select that case. And there are a few areas where you'll be filling in information as you go. And first, of course, is case details. This is a screen where you'll put in information about the court, the type of estate it is, the estate bank account information, the decedent, the fiduciary, co-fiduciary if you have one, surviving spouse, bond information, and appraiser. And so that information, of course, is going to populate the majority of your pleadings, or at least a lot of the biographical information in your pleadings. Next, you'll normally go to your interested persons screen. Here you can add new interested persons. Those can be individuals, trustees of trusts. You can select if somebody is deceased and if someone is taking under the deceased person. And of course, the contact information in relationship to the decedent for each. All of those people then are held in this screen with some basic information about them. Next, of course, we could go and start entering receipts. And to enter a receipt, you'll do Add Receipt. You're going to give a description of the asset or receipt, whether or not it's appraised. You're going to select the category of the asset. You'll select the intended disposition, which will help the app determine if this is something that it should expect to sell or transfer in kind, if those need to be done by application. Eventually, when you know what's going to happen, or when you know what does happen with disposing of an asset, then you'll properly fill in the asset disposition section to determine if it's been sold, liquidated, cash, deposited, or transferred in kind. And then we have places to keep notes, and if it's real estate, we have sections at the bottom for dealing with property descriptions and how we want real estate to be evidenced on our pleadings. Again, as we enter receipts, they're all going to show up here with the original value as you enter it, and then eventually, if something gets disposed of, you'll have your proceeds value there. Next, we might have some disbursements. When we enter disbursements, we have a similar screen where you can add a disbursement. Again, we're going to start with description of the disbursement, who it's going to, the amount, if it's coming out of the estate account, the voucher number, the date, of course. You'll select if it is or is not paid from the estate account. Of course, a bill or something paid would be checked as paid from the estate account. A distribution of inheritance, if it's a payment of inheritance, that would be selected. But if it's something in kind, then that would not. And then the disbursement type for categories. And again, we can keep notes, and we have a place for insolvency information if it's an insolvent estate. Once those things are entered, our case details, our interested persons, our receipts, and our disbursements. And of course, they don't all have to be entered, but as you're entering them, all those things are populating pleadings. Okay, and so if we go to our pleadings page, we do not have to select what pleadings information goes to. We don't have to select where to place people or anything like that. By entering those things in the appropriate screens, our pleadings are automatically going to populate. So I've not done anything to place the interested person's data or the case data or anything like that into this 1.0. This populates automatically just by filling in those fields, entering the people, their contact information, and selecting the appropriate relationship, the decedent, and it then populates the document automatically. Similarly, we'll take a look at our 2.0. All the information that we entered on the case information screen about the court, about the biographical information of the decedent, the fiduciaries, all of those things populate automatically. And of course, the attorney of record information populates automatically. Now, when it comes to, say, 6.0 and 6.1, our inventory and appraisal and schedule of assets, EstateAssist is going to pull the receipt information. And by us having checked the category of receipt and things like that, it's going to go ahead and do all the math for us. It's going to pull all that information. We had some general probate categories. We also had included some non-probate vehicles that were going to surviving spouse. All that information populated automatically. Again, we did not have to select anything or choose to put it on the documents. It's simply by us entering those receipts, the software knew where to put them. Likewise, 6.1 is here. And 6.1 takes all the asset descriptions, the values, whether or not it was appraised, and the categories, and it enters all of that information for us automatically and does the math and the totaling for us. Okay. Now, on our pleadings page, if we go down through every pleading, we're going to find that a pretty high percentage of information has been populated in the documents by virtue of the fact that we entered case information, interested persons, receipts, and disbursements. There are certainly some things that we don't have the answer for that are not automatically populated. And so those things we can still fill in the entry fields as we go. And so, for example, if we went down to 12.0 for selecting or requesting a certificate of transfer, much of the information is automatically populated, but there might be something, say, for example, are there sufficient assets on hand to pay the known debts? Well, that's something that the software doesn't calculate for you. You simply make that determination, or whether they have been paid or secure to be paid. Okay, so those are things that you can still select as you go, as the documents are brought up, and then print them or save them to wherever you'd like to store your files. Now, when we're on the pleadings page, we do not have accounts here. We do see the documents for accounts, 13.0, 13.1, and the related documents. Those are not automated on the pleadings page. Instead, we have a specific icon out on our case dashboard for accounts. Okay, and when we select the accounts, we've already created a couple in here. You create an account simply by pressing this Create Account. You select the type and the start date and the end date. And if you know what date you're going to file it, you can add that in, or you can add it later. But an accounting is a matter of selecting the type and the start and the end of the window of time, which we have here. We had an accounting from January 11th to May 1st, and then May 1st to July 31st. And so by simply creating those, EstateAssist gathers all of the information of what's occurred within that time window. It looks at all the receipts and all the disbursements within that window of time, and it completes our 13.0 for us. Our 13.1, again, using categories and totals. 13.2, everything we need for our accounting. Okay. A few other things that you might do as you're working through a case. Of course, we do have a place to keep case notes. Those are dated, date stamped, and information about who it is that created that entry, so that you can keep an eye on what's happening in cases as you go. Notices and waivers. You can automatically generate documents for the interested persons. It just takes their information that you entered in the interested person's entry screen and uses it to enter everybody in this screen. So everybody has their own section with all of the ordinary notices and waivers, and even some local notices and waivers. On a related note, we have notice and waiver tracking, so that as you send things out, you can select the date sent and the date received to keep track of what's going on with notices and waivers with your interested persons. Your estate account will automatically keep a register based on everything that gets liquidated and deposited in the estate account through the receipt screens, and everything that is dispersed and marked as paid from estate account in the disbursement screens. And so this keeps a list of everything dated, the voucher number, and your balance as you go. And then a few little things that we call widgets. We have a deadlines widget. If you click Deadline Calculator, it's going to bring up your important dates from your estate. Again, these are dates that it's going to pull from the case information screen. You do, of course, have to update that as you go. When you first create a case, you're not going to know your date of appointment and things like that. But if you update those things and save that screen, it's automatically going to populate this, and it's going to give you all the math for all the different deadlines that are common in estates. We're probably going to go ahead and automate this at some point before long, but we wanted to start out by giving users the option of entering or not entering whatever deadlines are important to them. And so then you can just go back and you can enter deadlines, inventory and appraisal, and we can select whatever the date is on that, and we create the deadline. That is now going to be seen down here as well as out on our case dashboard. We see down here a running set of deadlines of all of our open cases in the order of whatever is coming next or soonest. Similarly, you can enter tasks, to-do tasks, either for yourself or for somebody else in your firm for things that need done. And of course, those can be marked as done when they're complete. And we see them still there, but crossed out, so we can keep track of that. And finally, as we go through, we can update case status. So we have some different statuses here. And as we update those out here on our case or on our user dashboard, we see the different categories of where all of our cases are. Now, you do not have to use that. If you like to have all of your cases categorized together in one big chunk, that's fine. But if you like to see them broken down by category of topic, then this is an option that allows you to do that.